All right, members, welcome. Good evening. Welcome to another one of our interviews while we're in lockdown here and there's no basketball going on. Today we've got one of our VBRA Knox Life members with us. Quinny, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you for having me. Happy to talk about Knox all the time.
No problems, mate. We're looking forward to picking your brain, and I'm sure the members can get to know you a little bit better and get to know your journey a little bit better. But we'll get right into it,
Okay.
mate. Some of the members might not know this, but you're actually in a very elusive club. Only a couple of people are in this club. You're actually a life member of the Knox Basketball Association and the VBRA Knox branch. So, mate, tell us a little bit about the beginning. Tell us how you became involved in basketball.
I was playing basketball. Well, back in early days, I was playing, and I was sort of playing a bit at Kilsyth and a bit at Knox, and that was when Boronia had just been built, and I think it's 1980 from memory. And I was sort of playing, and then there was a notice about referees on the wall, and because I one of the people that abuse referees all the time, and like everybody did, and what have you, sort of shut up and join us. So I tended to. I sort of thought, oh well, I might have a go at this, and became a referee under a gentleman by the name of Bill Spendlow, who was probably the first advisor at Knox, I think. And I don't know whether Keith came with him at the time. I can't remember that. I think they might have came together, or they did it as a joint venture from original when Knox sort of started the three-court stadium, which was run by the council, and I think they ran Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday at early stages, because it was a council-run venue and they just took time, and it was about developing a thing. And I suppose from there I got one of my jobs from Knox referees was the Knox KABA, and I say KABA because it was old Knox Amateur Basketball Association. I was the Knox Amateur Basketball Association referees delegate. So I had a job from one to the other, which I ended up involved in the other. They needed to do this and they needed to do that. So I sort of took a few roles there, and then I ended up on the board of Knox Basketball as it is today. So hence I had a foot in each house, but I think that was one of the advantages long term for the communication between the organisations, because I think early days referees are, we need them, but we have to have them. And I think that's one of the big differences is today is, I think, and I say the word respect, I think the associations have got that respect that the referees are needed for them to survive. Whereas early days referees were just, we got referees, okay. And that's where it all sort of started. And that's how I got involved. And then my kids got involved, and I stayed involved.
Yeah, as a lot of us do in basketball.
I'm a sucker for when someone says, oh, can you help us do this? Or can you do this? Or what have you? So I just, couldn't resist, I suppose. And look, I've enjoyed the company of the people I've met, to see where it is today. I'm proud of that whole situation of being, a little piece in the cog that's made it the organisation it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got 2 life memberships there, Quinny, so you must be doing something right, mate, saying yes to things. So, Quinny, mate, discuss a little bit about, you spoke really quickly there about the early years of VBRA Knox. What were some of your contributions on the committee? So what positions did you hold? And you talked about Bill Spendlove. Tell us about some of the best contributors you remember from the early days.
Early days, look, I don't know how, I'm not sure how I got on the committee. I think I ended up as vice president for long stints at a time. And then that job had the appointments officer, and sort of, I just couldn't get rid of that job after a while, and I seemed to have it for ages. And then in that time, I was also the KBA delegate. So, but look, Bill Spendlove was there. Look, Fred and Alice Jago and Bev Agenbar, were just the staunch of the organisation, because, and Alice Jago, because those two ladies had the competition at the old gymnastics centre, which used to be
Avenue.
Yeah. So they were the integral part, and because they needed referees, those two were refereeing. And then basically, I think as Bev went on to be KBA secretary, Alice and Fred sort of went on to be the referees arm, and that sort of kept that line continual for many, many years. And well, don't ask me how long, but they were just there. Look, I know Keith Vaughan came along. Look, there was a lot of contributors over the time. I mean, I was thinking the other day after you sent it to me of the number of people. I mean, you asked me later what people, but Keith Vaughan, as I said, Pat Vaughan was a key factor because she became a supervisor. I think as the association grew, got better, it took over another night at Monday nights and then Tuesday nights, and we started this little bit of supervisor system. And I'll cover that a bit later with something you asked me, and I'll answer that one later. But I think they're the sort of people that put the place on the map originally, but they were just there. And look, they had children playing. And again, it was a benefit. It was very family orientated in those early days.
Yeah, we have I think we have a fantastic history of volunteers. You probably could have sat there and named a lot of people. I think that probably carries on into today, which is a nice culture which was bred very early.
Yeah, and look, there was a lot of Graham Wright was another one you mentioned. I mean, we did a lot of work on the early constitution from when it first started. And as I'd said this to Daniel a couple of times, that constitution lasted for X amount of years until they actually changed it. It stood the test of time from probably 10, 15 years, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But Quinny, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that VBRA Knox branch faced early on. What did we do and how did we overcome them to be what we are today?
I think one of the challenges, and I said it earlier, that the referees were apart. One of the good things and the working hard at getting the old KBA or Knox basketball, whichever way you go, but KBA to recognise that the referees were important and to start supervisors' payments. And I think that was one of the changing points. Now, exact figures I don't remember, but you used to get about $5 a game. So if you went in and did 3 or 4 games, you'd get $20. Now they're asking the supervisor to do that for like $10. Now you can't. They didn't want you to referee, and they're saying, "Well, hang on, you're not paying me enough." This discussion went on for many seasons about getting a payment system to recognise the supervisor who could then supervise and not be out of pocket when he walked out the door. And I think that, from memory, I think there was supervisors got allocated a dollar a game. So if you had in 3 courts, there was like 15 games, so it was $15. But by the time you took your phone calls, and we had no mobile phones in those days, so everything had to be done by landline or do a roster the week before and tell everybody what time you started next week. I don't think some of today's technology has made life a little easier, especially to, I can remember, people are ringing, going down to get a phone saying, "Oh, can you come in and referee because we're short," so there was that sort of thing. So that cultural change of the recognising a supervisor to do a job was probably one of the key factors that then allowed development to start to happen. And I think I give Knox credit for that because I think they did embrace it. It took a lot of hard yards and a lot of proving. And again, my stint as referee advisor for 2 years, they wanted you to do 100 hours a week, for a pittance, and it worked out to be $1, $1 or $2 an hour, and that's what was asked and expected. I mean, we all did it for the love of the sport, not so much the dollars, but you needed some form of the argument coming back. Well, I can go down to Macca's and I can earn, $20 or whatever, and you're asking me to come in here for $1 an hour. And I think that's the cultural change that happened that's made Knox what it is today. And you acknowledge that the supervisors who do a fantastic job today are remunerated fairly well, but they're expected to do a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very lucky to have the support of KBI, like you said, and we've now got a supervisor group of about 25 people, which is just fantastic to see so many people wanting to give back. So,
Yeah, I mean, back in our day, you had to sort of con people to do the job. No, I don't want to do it. I'd rather referee. I just want to referee. I don't want to be the overseer. And it was hard to get people to do two things. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to referee. That's it. I don't want to supervise. So some of your better people, and again, as you were trying to get better, if you weren't refereeing, you weren't getting any better. So it was a whole catch-22. But I think it's worked out over time to be to an asset to where you are today.
Yeah, fantastic. So Quinny, we've had a couple of interviews with some other people through the time in VBRA Knox. Some of them, many of them have mentioned you. Who were some of the referees that you think you had the greatest impact on as part of their development, and some ones that really stick out in your memory across the journey?
Look, I refereed with Graham Wright and John Quilty a lot. There was a lot of Arthur Manton was another one that name I sort of thought. I mean, like Bev and Fred and Alice, Pat Vaughan, all those sort of people. There was and I'm struggling to remember some of the young kids. I made a note here, and I think it's correct. I don't quote me, but I'm guilty of training Sean Gottliebson to be a referee. So I'm guilty of that. So if that doesn't hold me in good stead, or vice versa, I don't know what does. So
we might edit that part out of the video, Quinny.
But no, I look, there was, and again, in our day too, there was referees. It was hard to retain them because there was no. They could earn more money at Macca's or somewhere else. They'd get another job and then they'd just move on. So it was a continual churn of hard to retain referees. And the adults that did it all had families or what have you, and it was just a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
About all I can remember.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure there's plenty of people that could turn around and say you've had a huge impact on their journey, whether it's a small piece of advice or coaching them for a long time. So obviously, Quinny, you talk to us a lot, but you've obviously stayed connected with what's currently going on at VBRA Knox branch, but also Knox basketball, and things have no doubt changed with time gone by, as things do. What are some of the key milestones you see along the way, and what are you most proud of from a VBRA Knox perspective?
Oh, again, milestones, I think, was the supervisors, as I said. I think just for me, looking back now, from when I stepped out and I headed a lot towards Basketball Victoria, and VJBL became a bit of a passion for me. But in saying that, the VJBL, I had my referee's hat on there. I think Lexi Latanzio, who I considered a fairly good friend and what have you, the development of the junior panel to where it is today is a credit to her, but it's just the mentality of the league itself identifying that it needed referees. So to see what Knox has done in that respect to supply referees to junior panel, and the numbers they've put in the last 5 years has been amazing. You know what I mean? I believe that. I'm so proud of that because, early days when I was on VJBL, Knox don't have enough referees. Towards my end of my tenure, Knox have got, a quota of 5 extra or 10 extra or what have you. I mean, people would say to me complain about referees, and I'd say to them with great delight, contact Knox and ask them how they do it. And I still love saying that. I think that was a really, for me, I was proud to say that. And I think that was the recognition back for me of the way changes had been made, the development, the whole process to make that organisation the thing it was. I mean, to go to an AGM and have, 120, I think when I went 120 odd people there was just amazing, from early days when we did struggle to have one. So those sort of things made me feel really we've got this. This has worked. I mean, yeah, from a humble beginning to where it is today, I think has been amazing. And I think that sort of drive all the way along, and it showed a pathway for all the kids to actually be able to get up the tree.
Yep.
And the Chris Reeds and all the Daniels and all these that have made it to the top of the tree, they're still around and they're still visible. Technology's done that a little from our day when you sort of didn't catch anybody or you had to ring them on a landline. That sort of changed today. The other funny thing that I say about that is that Ballarat, and I use Ballarat, as a country association, used to bitch and bellyache about no referees on junior panel and they couldn't get enough and nobody wanted to develop. And, I said to Pete Eddy one day, well, Knox can do it, why can't you? Oh, no, we can't do it, it's impossible. 2 years later, I think he seconded Neil Black to go over there, who was a Knox person or, Kilsyde, a bit of both, but he seconded Neil because he'd moved up that way. A couple of years later, they win the Basketball Victoria Award for their referees program. So that just showed me that if you invest in this, it does work. And I think that's the proud thing from a Knox perspective. Invest in it, it does work, and you get the results out at the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you get the right people and the enough investment. I couldn't agree more, Quinny. So last question for you, Quinny. You've obviously been involved in basketball for a long time. You've given it so much, and it's given you a lot too. If there's one piece of advice you could give to officials in 2020, mate, what would it be?
I thought about that a lot, and I thought, advice along the way would be to look at it as a fun job, to then realise that you have to grab rule knowledge, you have to get fit, you have to tick all the other boxes to do that job really well. And then if you do that job really well, the opportunities up the tree are endless. I mean, they're Olympics. They're anything's possible as an official. I mean, I think that's the opportunity well up the tree. But in saying that, the fact that I look at it around a job, the mentality of a job as against a volunteer nowadays, I think carries a little bit more importance, that I have to be prepared, I have to do this, I have to do that. And that is what I believe will make them a much better official.
Absolutely. That's some great advice, mate. And I'm sure all the members can definitely get something out of that. Quinny, thanks for stopping by, mate. I appreciate you calling in from Tassie, where you currently are, mate. And I hope you're enjoying being able to go outside and enjoy the nice outdoors, unlike we can for only an hour. And I hope the members really get something out of this and get to know you a little bit better. So thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. And we'll speak to you soon.